what do you think we should all be learning about how to trust people that we don't even know?
It was 2010, Haiti, and I'm cooking there in a couple of places, hundreds of thousands lost their homes. The poor of the poor lost their homes. And so was all these little villages that were being created, temporary housing.
This is after the earthquake.
After the earthquake.
Yeah.
And I was cooking, and that day was beans, a lot of beans. They were in season. I would buy every day. This is the early days. I was in the kitchen when it was me and two friends. And I make these huge pots with the help of local women of beans. And at the end, with the help of the translator, they speak beautiful Creole there. And they come to me and they say, Jose, they love that you are feeding them here every day, but they want to tell you that they don't eat the beans the way you prepared them. And I'm like, man, they couldn't tell me before. And then I say, okay, how do you want them? And there you have this 2-star Michelin chef. And they began singing, and we began smashing the beans until it became a puree. It took 2 more hours or 3. But at the end, you used to see the joy when the beans were finished. They sang amazing traditional Haitian songs through the process. And they were doing the pois congo and this black bean stew with the rice, the way they eat them, which is not a soup, is not a cream, is not a sauce. It's something else, but that's the way they eat it.
That is the way they eat the food.
And this, to me, obviously, was a big lesson, because that's also the dignity we give, no? Even that's a matter how poor people may be. Everybody has a way to eat. You see it when I go out in the streets, in the poorest. It's people that like it more spicy, people less spicy.
Man.
It's people that, I don't know, peel the shrimp right to left or left to right. And it's certain things that is just fascinating. That's a matter who you are, with money or no money. You can be as poor you may be, but that you're poor doesn't mean you don't have the same dignity that anybody else should have.
I used to think that, when I would watch, growing up in South Africa, I would see all these videos of aid coming to Africa. And it would always be, the military dropping giant, crates, those pallets of random...
It's the parachute mentality.
Yeah. You drop the pallets, and then the people... And I genuinely remember saying this, but I would say this to my friends when we'd be watching the news or whatever. I'd go, who chose that food? And I didn't mean it in a disparaging way. I was just like, who chose that food? Yeah. Because it seemed like they were dropping the same food in every single African country. And I know the people needed it.
And this is the next phase. Now, what Central Kitchen does is not fighting hunger. We are really pure emergency.
Okay, you're going for emergencies.
Not like hunger is no emergency, but when something gets totally upside down.
Yeah. That immediate
That's
event.
what we come.
Right.
That's what we are effective. World Food Program can always get better, but is an organization that does this job for long-term hunger. Also, they do emergencies, but they're good in the long-term hunger, and that's what UN created, obviously, for World Food Program. But take a look, the issues we face today. The military spending average 2025, now 2026 is going to be $2.5 trillion.
Right.
To take care of total hunger will be roughly 80 billion a year. 80 billion a year.
No, Jose.
To take care of the few hundred millions that they are going through, many of them.
Say those numbers again.
So it's 2.5 trillion
is going to be
and
spent.
we only need 80 billion to take care. And 80 billion of the 2.5 trillion roughly is under 2% of the military spending. That means that if every country in the world will only put, not of their total budget, 2% in a bank, 2% of their military budgets, and we have the right system and organization, we can have the money to take care of the poor people. But then how we do that? I saw it in Haiti perfectly. I was very, very happy of the response of America to Haiti in 2010. But doing good is not enough. Doing good is what my friend Robert Egger, the founder of This is Central Kitchen, told me over 30 years ago, that charity seems is about the redemption of the giver, when charity must be about the liberation of the receiver. And here is where it gets complicated. And policy needs to be good, so it becomes good politics. If we give so much rice and food for free to Haiti, And really, we gave a lot. So I'm proud as an American. Europe, France gave a lot. But we gave so much that nobody was buying from the local farmers in Haiti. We put them out of business.
Wow.
That's why a few years later, some of the Haitians, thousands of them that we saw under a bridge on Texas, which, by the way, World Central Kitchen was there also helping feeding them. These were some of those farmers that left Haiti because they went through hunger times later when they ate the stop. And all of a sudden, they began arriving to different parts in America and going to place. And where they're going to go? To the richest possible place.
Yeah.
Why they leave their home? Because they won't only feed their children. Anybody listens to that, you see that, then we create problems. Instead of giving so much rice for free, we were supposed to do better investment in, can we buy the rice
from the
Haitians?
Yeah.
And can we give them maybe new equipment so they can even produce more? And can we help them with better water management? Can we help them with better quality fertilizers? All of a sudden, you have entire population of Haitians in the rural areas that with very little investment, we're making them get richer and better, helping Haiti as a country.
Yeah.
Versus creating mayhem and chaos. So in the way we do international food aid, dramatically has to change. I do believe that everybody listening to us, if we will say, my God, with 2-3% of the military spending, we can end total hunger in the world. That then, if we do it well, can also help create riches in those countries.
It really is.
Versus keep throwing money at the problem versus investing in long-term solutions. This is where the international organizations, UN, governments dramatically will have to change the way we take care of the people, including wars. Because obviously the money is going into wars instead of investing in education, in food, in health. And right now I'm very worried that at the end of 2026, 2027, we may have a very big hunger increase. 40 to 50% of all the fertilizers that the world uses to produce food, they go through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. That's that tiny little strip of water off the coast of Iran.
So we're talking about gas. And when we think gas is what moves our cars and our planes and our industry, but also is what creates the energy that moves the humans, which is the food we eat.
Right.
I'm very worried that because that lack of fertilizers and not enough investment in fertilizers produced more locally in every part of the world.
Right.
Now also we're going to be very dependent from what's going on. And this war is going to be creating two things. Probably a shortage in quantity of food, but also it's going to be an increase in the cost of food because also to transport the food is becoming more expensive. And at the end, who is going to suffer? You and I, even if the rice increases and our sushi increases and our beautiful quinoa from Peru and our green tea from Japan increases, okay, we're going to be able to pay it.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the people, starting by America in many parts of the world, that increase of food that maybe 3, 4, 5, 6%, for the people with a lot of money equals absolutely nothing.
Right. It doesn't change much.
But for people that live on $2, $3 a day at the most, like in Haiti and other parts of the world, that increase in the cost of food is exponential increases what they spend on food. Therefore, I'm very worried that this war in the Middle East, many people say unnecessary, with no very clear idea if Iran really developed that nuclear bomb they say they created, it's going to make the world hungrier and it's going to make a lot of people poorer. That's why wars don't make any sense in any way or form. That's a matter how you want to explain it.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about, in particular, let's say the story of the Haitians who were, traveling over to the US. I'll often have this conversation with people who are anti-immigration, and I don't even have this conversation flippantly. I don't have it in a in a mean way. I genuinely try and engage people, but I'll say to them, you're anti-immigration. They go, yes, I think there's too many people flocking across. And I go, I agree with you. I think there are too many people who are trying to come into the United States. There are too many people who are trying to go into South Africa, too many people who are trying to go. But now let's ask ourselves the question, why are there so many people trying to do that? Contrary to popular belief, most people want to live in their homes. Most people don't want to go to another country. Most people don't want to give up everything that has defined them, their language, their music, their food, their culture. They don't want to let it go, but they're forced to let it go. And then I often say to them, I'm like, so why not invest in keeping everybody where they are? You know, we had Mia Motley on the show, on the podcast, and she really laid it out in one of the most beautiful ways possible. Here you have like the Prime Minister of Barbados, a tiny nation, but her voice has been outsized, where she says...
She's amazing.
She's phenomenal. And she goes, you think that the small nations do not matter in the world, and yet all the big nations are complaining about the people from the small nations, not understanding that they are part of the cause that the small nations have an exodus in the first place.